We have to recognize that anti-vaccine activism, which I actually call anti-science aggression, has now become a major killing force globally. And now it's become a political movement. In the US, it's linked to far extremism on the far right.
Hey everyone, so Elon Musk and the entire anti-vax crowd on Twitter is currently targeting one of my good friends, Dr. Peter Hotez. He is the Dean of Tropical Medicine at Baylor University, the head of pediatrics at the hospital at Baylor, and a Nobel Prize nominated physician who developed COVID vaccines that were very low cost for people in the third world so they don't die. And they're all piling on him today and attacking him.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a viral conversation going on Twitter between Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, RFK Jr., and a vaccine doctor by the name of Peter Hotez, who has, in the past been critical of the possibility of a coronavirus vaccine in regards to what that actually means when he was testifying in Congress in 2020 before we had the COVID-19 vaccines.
To take on the big scientific challenge of coronavirus vaccines. And I say a scientific challenge because one of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines. This was first found in the early 1960s with respiratory syncytial virus vaccines.
Yeah, so that was back in 2020, okay, March of 2020, before the vaccines, okay, before the U.S. government decided to spend billions, if not trillions of dollars, really, to incentivize Big Pharma to come up with some type of vaccine for COVID-19, before the financial incentive became very clear in regards to scientists going along with the Big Pharma agenda in regards to pushing COVID-19 vaccines. And all of a sudden, this guy changed his tune on COVID vaccines. Take a look.
By now, anyone who's unvaccinated and has been lucky enough to escape COVID, your luck is about to run out. That's how transmissible this virus is. And so I think one of the messages for today is it's still not too late to get vaccinated. We are not doing very well here in Harris County as we could. We're doing better than other parts of the South, but compared to the Northeast, we're just not at that level.
But, apparently the fascinating thing about this guy, besides his obvious change in stance when it comes to coronavirus vaccines and, whether or not you should even ask questions about it, right? Whether you should even question it, whether you should be skeptical at all, okay? It's the fact that, he's pushing these vaccines while also not necessarily being very passionate about his own personal health when it comes to his diet.
Do you take care of your immune system in other ways? Do you take probiotics? Are you cautious about your diet?
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health and something my wife is working on.
But that seems ridiculous for someone who works with health.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, man?
Sometimes, man, I just don't get it right.
How often?
What?
How often?
How often do I steal a bag of chips or something like that?
How often do you eat garbage?
I don't know. No, hopefully not every day, but
hopefully not every day.
Yeah, maybe a couple of times a week.
Oh.
That's what with Rachel, my daughter with autism. That's like our thing is to go to the it's called the burger joint or to Shake Shack to get a cheeseburger. We'll sneak some fries.
So you
live in large, we call it.
Like that mouth pleasure so much, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of
I
health.
am, yeah. I have to concede that's the case.
Well, there's, I don't have to tell you, but there's a large body of data that connects poor diet to a host of diseases.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a crazy decision for a guy in your line of work.
There you go. Sometimes it's not all brain. It's something else.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, isn't it amazing how these same people that want to lecture other folks on their health don't take care of their health when it comes to diet, which is probably the biggest factor when it comes to your overall health, what foods you put into your body. they eat like ish all day. They develop these chronic diseases because they eat like ish all day, and they want to turn around and judge you because you're perfectly healthy, but you don't want to take a vaccine, right? Again, it's amazing how that works. So that actually brings me to the actual topic of this video, which is a viral debate that may happen, it may not happen, between this vaccine doctor and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay, this is currently being proposed on Twitter because this vaccine doctor has been very critical of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's running for president against Joe Biden in the Democrat primary. He's come out and basically attacked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as an anti-vaxxer. Okay, he's been very critical of RFK, like the rest of the mainstream liberal media, because again, that's what they're paid to do. That's what Big Pharma paid them to do.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of the most active anti-vaccine activists, has publicly labeled me on his Instagram account the OG villain, which I had to look up. It means the original gangster villain. So what we're facing now that very few people want to confront is a globalized anti-science empire, with Russia. And how you talk about that is difficult, right? Because, if you say in one breathless sentence, QAnon and neo-Nazi groups and Putin and the Russian government, you yourself start sounding like someone who throws things at the TV at night. So how you say it in a way that's credible is really important. But I've been pushing hard now for the Biden administration to finally do something about this, because in the past, the Centers for Disease Control has not wanted to take on the anti-vaccine lobby. They very much have maintained a position. Look, Peter, we're not going to call attention to this because we'll give it oxygen. And I said, well, that made sense 20 years ago, but now that horse has left the barn, that train has left the station. It's we've got to do something about it. So, not only bringing in the Health and Human Services agencies, but I feel we're going to have to bring in the Commerce Department, Justice Department, Homeland Security. It's a Homeland Security issue, and even State Department, given the Russian involvement. And I tend to be an outlier on this one. Most people just don't want to go there, especially my academic colleagues. That's a bit too much, or do something at the level of the UN agencies.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand exactly what's going on here. This guy is strongly alluding to the fact that he wants to have law enforcement, the Department of Homeland Security, okay, probably the Department of Justice as well too. He wants all these law enforcement agencies to be involved in pursuing the anti-vax lobby, aka people who have a different opinion on vaccines than he does. And he's been trying to push the Biden administration on this. Okay, this guy is a full-blown authoritarian, right? Full-blown authoritarian. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was recently on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan asked him about, hey, is there anybody that will debate you on this stuff, right? You keep getting censored. People keep calling you a quack, but they don't really want to seem to debate you. And Robert F. Kennedy called out this Dr. Peter Hotez for refusing to debate. But before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you want to support my channel, you can check out my new merch. For example, my signature racist mug, which is a daily reminder of the 2023 definition of racist according to the left, which is anybody who disagrees with the Democrat Party. It also has my logo on the back as well too. You can check that out at my website, gforemanbcp.com. Get 20% off using discount code TEAMBCP.
Have you had anyone debate you publicly about any of these?
Nobody will debate me. For 18 years, nobody will debate me. In fact, I've scheduled many, many debates, and I've asked Hotez many, many times to debate me. And I think you've asked him, here, why don't you debate Robert Kennedy? And he said, because he's a cunning lawyer or something like that. But I've debated Hotez on the telephone with kind of a referee, and his science is just made up. He cannot stand by it. He can't cite studies.
Yeah. So this interview with Robert Kennedy Jr., who is a presidential candidate, on Joe Rogan, which, by the way, I got to call out Joe Rogan because we have some hypocrisy here. He claimed that his excuse for not interviewing Trump was that he doesn't want to get involved with deciding who becomes president of the United States. He basically tried to say that he wouldn't have any presidential candidates on anymore, but then he goes on to have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Rogan, you need to have Trump, right? You need to stop making excuses and, actually, have people on for both sides, just like you're having on Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is controversial in and of itself. But anyways, unsurprisingly, the woke powers that be came out and were critical of Joe Rogan, okay, for having Robert F. Kennedy on his platform, okay? They're saying that Spotify is no longer really applying the rules that they put on Rogan when it came to so-called vaccine disinformation, right? And again, this sparked a huge debate on Twitter, okay? Because Peter Hotez tweeted this. He said, Spotify had stopped even sort of trying to stem Joe Rogan's vaccine misinformation. It's really true. Just awful. And from all the online attacks I'm receiving after this absurd podcast, it's clearly many believe this nonsense. So Joe Rogan responds and he says, Peter, if you claim what RFK Jr. is saying is misinformation, I am offering you $100,000 to the charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit. Yeah. And then Robert F. Kennedy Jr. responded. He said, Peter, let's finally have the respectful, congenial, informative debate that the American people deserve. Yeah, I agree with this. Right? I agree with this 100%. Okay. If you are so right and the science is on your side and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a quack, this should be an easy debate, right? This should be an easy W for a noted vaccine scientist, right? Peter Hotez says, Joe, you have my cell, my email. I'm always willing to speak with you. Joe Rogan says, this is a non-answer. I challenge you publicly because you publicly quote tweeted and agreed with that dog shit Vice article. If you're really serious about what you stand for, you now have a massive opportunity for a debate that will reach the largest audience of discussion, etc. Yeah, I agree. Okay, again, if you are so serious about this, right, if this is costing people lives, okay, which he's argued that people who don't get the coronavirus vaccine or that are vaccine skeptical, again, you're causing people to lose their lives, then you should be willing to defend your stance on the biggest platform on earth, right, which is the Joe Rogan podcast. Joe, if you're serious about addressing vaccines, plus the fact that 200,000 unvaccinated Americans needlessly perished during our awful Delta BA.1 COVID waves, including 40,000 in our state of Texas because they fell victim to vaccine disinformation, I want to have that discussion. I am open to a number of different options, but to be pressured to give you an answer on Twitter now with a, quote, take it or leave it demand, that's not how I work. Honestly, I don't even think that would be in your best interest. Yeah, so remember, Joe Rogan had offered $100,000 to a charity of his choice or whatever to do the debate. And this guy's response, part of his response was, be serious, Joe. That's what you throw out for your hunting buddies on a weekend. A $50 million endowment, which you, Spotify, RFK Jr. can easily afford. Not for me, but so we can continue making low-cost patent-free vaccines for the world's poor, preceded by RFK Jr.'s public apology. And then Joe Rogan called him out for deleting that tweet. Okay, he says, yes, Joe, I thought it was over the top, unnecessarily provocative, so I took it down right away. But I've been hurt by the public/untrue statements you/guests have made about me being a pharma shill when all I do is make vaccines for the world's poor. I don't take big pharma money. Yeah, again, amazing. Okay, so here's the thing. Here we go. These people, they're claiming they're being hurt because people are criticizing them, right? I'm happy to come on and clear the air. I respect you and your show. I don't want an adversarial relationship. I think we can work well together. So now Elon Musk gets involved, okay? And he claims that this guy is afraid of a public debate because he knows he's wrong. Then he says, seriously, Elon, this is monstrous. 200,000 Americans needlessly perished, including 40,000 Texans, our neighbors, because they were victims of anti-vaccine disinformation during our awful COVID Delta BA.1 waves in 2021, 2022. Please don't do this. Right? Please don't do this. Let's remember what this is about. Not a small number of Americans lost their lives from anti-vaccine disinformation during the pandemic. 200,000 Americans perished, 40,000 from my state of Texas. I have nothing personal versus Joe, Elon, and RFK Jr. Just hoping to halt more destruction, right? Not easy to respond when those three gang up and tag team. Wish I could be more eloquent and clever when the moment demands, but there you are. And then this guy says maybe Peter Holtz just hates charity, because at this point now, they've raised a ton of money to see this debate. 1.3 million to be exact, because Andrew Tate committed like $500,000. So you got a ton of people here. Rogan is in for 100K. Bill Ackman is in for 150K. Dave Rubin is in for 100K. Patrick Bet David is in for 100K. All of these guys are basically throwing around big money to see this debate, which, I mean, you know, hey, good for them, right? Good for them to throw around this type of money. But this was Peter Holtz's response. Okay, he says, Elon, maybe you weren't aware, but in 2020, we asked you to support our lab that ultimately made low-cost, patent-free COVID vaccines, 100 million doses administered. Even though you couldn't help us then, we still need help for our low-cost XBB booster plus universal COV versions. Okay, fine. Well, again, people are putting up money, right? People are putting up money. He said, we provided proof of concept it's possible to bypass big pharma to still do big things. So when Joe RFK Jr. accused me of being a pharma shield when we don't take money from big pharma, it's insulting / unfair. But, quote, charity, as you put it, is welcome, not for me, but for our vaccine center. Yeah, so Elon responded to this. He says, first of all, I'm generally pro-vaccine. I have been vaccinated against pretty much everything, as have my kids. Second, I think there's tremendous promise in synthetic mRNA. It's like medicine going from analog to digital. Yeah, so again, he is basically, you know, supporting the vaccine in the sense that he's saying, look, I'm not anti-vax. I just want to see a debate, right? I think that the public policy around how, you know, we administrated the COVID-19 vaccine is off, okay? But again, these people don't want to debate public policy because debating public policy goes against the Democrat agenda, right? And again, he's basically just being called out about just not willing to have a conversation with people that he is claiming are killing people with vaccine disinformation. And again, you would think that these people who are so pro, you know, vaccine or whatever, if they really want to clear the air and save lives, they would debate these people and debunk these people in real time, right? And it should be easy because apparently the science is on their side, according to them. But again, as you can see here, a lot of these people don't really want to defend these positions. They just want to, you know, be in their own little bubble and, you know, shout at the world about how everybody else is killing folks without actually really defending that position. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.